Welcome, everybody, to another thrilling episode of Howdy Shoot Dang, the podcast where we discuss the sharpshooting abilities of No-Eyed Willie, and we answer the question, how'd he shoot that thing? It is, this is HomeKit Insider, and you've got me, Andrew O'Hara, here with my pal, Stephen Robles. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. You're looking very studious today. This is a good look. This is your Clark Kent look. Do you before you do a HomeKit or a YouTube video, do you go into a phone booth and spin around and change into Super Andrew? How does that work? I'm just curious.
No, just a small hallway closet.
Okay.
I don't need... Phone booths are dated, Stephen. Okay, we use closets now.
I mean, our UK listeners, they
small
might
nooks.
Our UK listeners, do you still have the little red phone booths in different places?
Well, those are. Yeah, they're like historical items, I believe, now over there. Right. They're like preserved.
Yeah, tourist attractions, really, but they look cool. They look fun. Yeah. Payphones that I remember, like growing up in New York. You know, you see a payphone around New York City. I mean, that thing's got Ebola virus on it. You don't even know if that thing works. You know, it might cost you $3. Yeah, you don't want to touch the
toilet.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with those payphones. But sorry, I thought it was going to be a singing episode, but nope, apparently not. Apparently not. It's too early for that. All right, we got some news. iOS 16 is now out for everyone. We want to talk about that. Sonos Sub Mini is officially announced, so we're going to hit all of that. Also, we're in a weird spot of recording, Andrew, because as we record, we're both probably getting a bunch of devices in the mail tomorrow, but then our listeners are not going to hear this, and viewers, youtube.com/HomeKit Insider, are not going to see it till Monday. Now, what do you know for sure that you're getting tomorrow? I know we talked about this last week, but I just want to hear it again. What are you getting tomorrow? Or what did you get last Friday?
I'll have all the new phones, as well as both new versions of the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch Ultra, AirPods Pro don't launch until sometime during the week or something.
This Friday they come.
Yeah, some Apple's weird launch schedules. Like, we're going to put the Apple Watch Ultra up for order like ahead of time, but it doesn't launch until after the other things that you can't even order yet.
Exactly.
Weird stuff going on with Apple's schedule.
Yeah. Well, next week we'll show off all our devices. My iPhone 14 Pro should be coming, or should have come, as long as I don't miss that UPS guy. I'm going to be just staring out the window all day, because last year I missed him. I don't know if our listeners remember, but last year I missed him and I had to wait till Monday to get my phone. That was like the first time I didn't get it on launch day in years. So not missing it this time. I'm going to have my periscope, my binoculars looking out the window like this. I'm going to do it. Anyway. All right, we got some news. Let's hit it. Quick, 2 5-star reviews. Thank you, Alex the Home Kitty. He must be on your side, Andrew. I can't believe this. He's from Quebec, Canada.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks for that 5-star review. And then Opinions Do Matter from the USA. You know what? I agree, because this show is basically all of our opinions on HomeKit. So we stand by that. Now, one thing that's objectively good and that we can enjoy is new Lutron switches. New Lutron switches have launched. I mean, this is the first time in a while, I think, that there's been a redesign of the Lutrons that are just residentially available. You know, we covered some of those like commercial style switches a few months ago, but these are new residential commercial switches. You can get them at Home Depot right now. They're not on Amazon just yet. I just looked, at least as far as when we record, but I'll put links to Home Depot right now. They have a smart dimmer and a switch. The dimmer is $70 here in the U.S. It's called the Diva smart dimmer. It's a funny name. But you got the Diva, and then you got the Claro smart switch, which is $60. Both of them do require the Lutron hub to work with HomeKit, just like all of Lutron switches. But the great part about these is they've actually moved away from that kind of classic Lutron design where it's, you know, lots of little icons or little, images on the actual switches. They're flat against the wall. That was the old style Lutron switch. Now these new ones really just look like normal light switches. They're paddle style light switches. There's no decals or icons on them. They're very clean looking. Frankly, I think these look great, Andrew. I think this is a great addition to the Lutron lineup. And if you wanted to get super reliable, solid switches in HomeKit that look just like normal switches, I think these are the ones to get now. What do you think?
Yeah, these are definitely a good update for these guys. I remember at CES this year, they were showing off some redesigned switches, but they said they were more for like their professional series, not like you said, like the just commercially available ones from like Home Depot and stuff. So it's awesome to see these new designs coming. A lot of people have not liked the kind of classic Lutron ones. I don't dislike them, but especially like the Pico remote and stuff like that, and they all look the same. And like, oh, here's a light gray icon that will differentiate this light one from this fan one, and stuff like that. They're very subtle. So I'm excited that there's actual legit new ones here that are more typical paddle switches, and like you said, rock solid stability here. So should be no issues whatsoever with connectivity.
Yeah, I might get one just to replace one of my other switches, just because these are just so reliable. And man, I've just never ever had an issue with the Lutron one. So yes, it is a hub, but that is a hub I will gladly accommodate for that reliability. So anyway, cool Lutron switches. We'll put the links in show notes to that. Also, Aqara has some news. We talked about their radiator thermostat, this little cylindrical thing that screws onto a radiator. The E1 is now official. It's in the European Amazon store, as well as Aqara retailers across Europe. And is this a special deal we have for HomeKit Insider listeners, Andrew? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, it sure is. Sure is. So they actually launched. It came with like a discount they were doing for a launch, and it was expiring by the time that we were going to be able to talk to all y'all. So I reached out and was like, hey, can we do something special for the AI audience? And Aqara came through. So if you use this promo code that I'm going to read off, you'll be able to get 10% off of the radiator thermostat E1. Nice. It is valid from September 19th to the 21st in the Amazon UK store only. So the promo code is TRVE1 Media.
What?
So TRVE1 MEDIA. 10% off for all of you UK people out there.
Okay. I will put that in the show notes and be very clear. It is for the Amazon store. So that promo code can be used on Amazon. I know we recently had a promo code where it was like, it's not working on their website, but the promo code was for Amazon. So Amazon UK store, and we will put that in the show notes. Oh, media, not needia.
Media.
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 Media with an M, as in Mary and Martha, and yeah, got it. M.
Like as Mr. M with a munchy mouth.
Like home kit. Got it. Okay. Also, Aqara, that's very cool. So link in show notes to that. And the Aqara app has actually been updated to 3.0. And I have a history with the Aqara app. I've used a lot of Aqara devices in the past. Their app has been fine. I typically just went there to add an Aqara device. If it was a contact sensor, I have some water leak sensors. Why did I say it like that? Water. Sorry, that was weird. Water. I didn't say it with a British accent. Water leak sensor. And sorry if I just offended everyone with my British accent. The Aqara app 3.0, it looks great. Really like it. It's a big visual overhaul to the app. There's some really nice looking icons. You can get quick look at some of your devices there. I'll put it up there if you're watching on YouTube. And I really like it. It's a very nice visual redesign. The accessories tab, quick access to things. Anyway, just kudos to Aqara. That app was kind of the same for a long time, and this is a big update. So nicely done. I like it.
Now, Steven, I have not tried this yet. I've been slammed with all this the iOS and shenanigans going on, but I did get to look through the PR for this as was announced, and they sent over like this lovely little header image to boast about. And one of the features that I was excited to try that I've not seen yet, and I don't know if you have, is that home board dashboard that looks really cool. It looks kind of like that status board dashboard thing that I've been looking for with HomeKit. Aaron Pierce was out there. Yes. He's talking about a home wall that is maybe a possibility at some time if he can get around to it. It's like lower on the priority list compared to the more popular apps that he does. But this Aqara 3.0 app, it's got that home board dashboard looking view where you can see like statuses, weather, launch scenes, devices, your security system stuff. Have you seen this? Have you tried it? Does it work? Does it look good?
I mean, that's what I showed kind of right there. This is the home board where you can customize that and add some devices. As far as I see, you can add the Aqara devices to this home board. I do not see a way to add my other HomeKit devices to this board. So
okay, well, see, that's good to know. I just slacked you a message there, Stephen, because that's what I was picturing. That one in the top right looks different than what you just showed.
Yeah, so maybe it looks different on a tablet. I do not have it on my iPad, but that's basically what it is. And when I hit that little edit, the little pencil icon, like I do have the ability to, move. I can add things around, change the color, I believe, of the board. But it's not like I'll change the theme real quick so you can see. Like it just changes the color of the background theme and all that. But when I go to add a card, like if I go to devices, it's just showing me my Aqara devices here. It's not, it's not showing me the rest of my things.
Okay. So I don't get the status board I wanted. I don't get it.
Nope. Sorry. But if you use a Aqara device, and listen, I get their contact sensors and water leak sensors because they're some of the most budget friendly of those devices. And they've been pretty solid. I actually use the E1 hub right now. I had the G2H camera, which also acts as a hub. I did have the M2 hub, that little like black puck. But since we moved in this new house, I was just kind of trying to limit the amount of hubs I have just everywhere. And the E1 hub, it's a USB-A connection, which typically we knock a company for because, we like USB-C and the universality of it. But because it's a USB-A connection, a lot of the power strips I got around my house, and especially one here in the office, has USB-A in the power strip for like charging. And so I actually was able to just stick that E1 hub directly into a power strip. No brick needed, no cable, and it's just sitting under my desk. So I actually liked the E1 hub with the USB-A because all those power strips have it. I don't have any power strips with USB-C plugs for charging. I know they're out there. You can get them, but all the ones I have are A. So that's why I like the E1. And water leak sensors and contact sensors. I really like Aqara's for that. And they all get into the home app, because of the hub. So Aqara, nice job. Now, I have some big thoughts on this next item, which is the Sonos Sub Mini. But before we get to that, Andrew, let's take a break. I want to talk about it so bad. But I want to thank also, this is a great sponsor, ZocDoc. You've heard us talk about ZocDoc before. Listen, here's the deal. Everybody needs to go to a doctor eventually. And finding a doctor, and let's just be honest, it's usually a pain in the neck. You make calls, at least especially here in the U.S., you make a call, you stand on a phone tree, and you just sit there, and you make your appointment, you get there, and what happens? They don't take your health insurance provider, and then you have to do the whole process all over again. It's really miserable, again, at least here in the U.S., but in the ZocDoc app, it is a free app. You can use the app, you can go to the website, and this free app shows you doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, and are available when you need them. And so on ZocDoc, you can find specialists, you can find general practitioners. If you even like orthodontist, straighten your teeth, fix an achy back, whatever you need, you can go to ZocDoc and they have you covered. Their mobile app, it's as easy as ordering a ride or like ordering food from a restaurant. It's really cool. Your location, you say what doctor it is, you can put your health insurance provider and even down to like your plan, and it will tell you what doctors accept your health insurance. And then you can book an appointment right there in the app. Andrew, tell me, you know the pain. How annoying is it to make an appointment on the phone? It's a pain in the neck.
It is, and especially with the insurance stuff. Does it take your insurance? I mean, recently we've been looking at pediatricians that we're going to need to get for our upcoming mini human, and they're like, "Oh yeah, do we take your insurance?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Why would I know if you take the insurance?" And it is a pain, and I hate it. So having like something like ZocDoc where you can automatically filter those out, know who takes your insurance, and book that easily. It is great.
It's amazing.
ZocDoc, the doc that rocks. It just works perfect.
Oh my! We're giving taglines out left and right. ZocDoc, the doc that rocks. That's so good. Okay, and listen, you also see patient. Yeah, it's perfect. You also see patient reviews, by the way, so you can see what other people think of these doctors. Find the doctor that's right for you. Book an appointment in person or remotely. They do the telehealth appointments as well. And every month, millions of people use ZocDoc. I'm one of them. I use ZocDoc all the time. It's my go-to whenever I need to find a doctor. So here's what you do. Go to ZocDoc.com/HKI. Download the free ZocDoc app. Start your search for a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's ZocDoc.com/HKI. ZocDoc.com/HKI. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this episode. And speaking of mini humans, I'd like to talk about something else. That was good. Did you set that up? Did you set that up all the way back there?
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
Nope.
It just came out. Well, speaking of mini, the Sonos Sub Mini, the long-rumored Sub Mini, is now, it has been officially announced, and it is the cylindrical design that was leaked, all the renders. Okay, it's going to be available starting on October 6th in the United States and 34 countries total. But Andrew, we have pricing for the Sonos Sub Mini, and we were looking forward to this because the big Sonos Sub is $749, pricey subwoofer. We thought the Sonos Sub Mini would just slot in on that lower price point to help everybody with Sonos beams and rays out there. Andrew, this Sub Mini costs $429. $430 for the Sub Mini. And I'm really curious to know your feelings. I feel like they overshot it. I feel like they overshot the price, and this does not make a Sonos Sub as accessible to people as I was hoping. Andrew, tell me what you think about this.
Well, I mean, I want to test this thing to have more opinions. They do have like a lot of asterisks on recommendations. So they are really pushing this for the beam and the ray. They say it works with the arc, but they recommend not at high volumes and not in large rooms. Question, what's a large room? I mean, that's pretty relative depending on your house. Because I have been in some large rooms, but also, like, especially with our open floor plan here, I would consider like our living room a large room. Is it a large room? I don't know. So that like makes me like wonder what the limitations of that are. But yeah, they're really focusing on the two lower end sound bars as well as any like Sonos ones you have or like some Bionic speakers, because you can use this as just a woofer for playing music and stuff. You don't need to use it for a sound bar for video and everything.
Right.
But it is high. I was guessing like $350 was the price point that I would have guessed, just based on like the rumors and trying to make this thing accessible. Bumping above $400 is a little tough. I'm not like wholly surprised because they do tend to like over engineer products and a little bit, like Apple, and they end up with these higher price tags compared to their perceived value. But I mean, look, when we're looking at the other option, they've got a $750 sub and they're pushing that with like the freaking beam, and the beam is less money than the sub. Yeah. And you're that was even a harder sell. So, I mean, obviously needed a cheaper one. I think it's a little more expensive than I expected, but I don't know. It seems par for Sonos.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. So the Beam, Sonos's mid-range soundbar, and I'll just say the Arc, which is their biggest soundbar, $899. So $900 for the Arc, $450 for the Beam, that middle grade, $450, and then the Ray, that entry-level soundbar is $280. So if this is to be paired with a Beam, like it basically doubles your price for a home theater. The sub is $430, the Beam is $450. You're now at $880, almost $900 for a soundbar and a sub. And I feel like the sub being that close to the Beam pricing, it just doesn't feel great. At least with the big sub being $750, The Arc is $900. You know what I mean? And I do think, listen, these are great sounding products. I mean, I have an Arc, I have a big sub, they sound great. But you also kind of know if I'm going to be investing in that expensive of a sound bar like the Arc, you know, getting that high-end subwoofer, it kind of makes sense, I guess, in your mind. But having a $430 subwoofer for a $450 soundbar, I don't know, it just doesn't feel great. And I think if this like drops on a sale to like $299, like $300, which would be what, $130 off, like that feels like it would have been a more reasonable price point. Just overall, like $300. That was the original HomePod pricing, you know, and I think, I don't know, I think 300 would have felt somewhere in the 300, maybe even 350. I mean, I feel like 300 would have been ideal for this subwoofer. And yeah, I don't know, man. I just feel like I see the benefit of having the standalone subwoofer because I had the Arc for a while without the sub and it sounded good, but nowhere near as good as when you pair it with a subwoofer. And I think people who want the simple home theater setup, I think would really benefit from the Sub Mini with their Beam or even Ray. But I feel like this is going to prevent some people from getting it because it's pretty expensive. So I don't know, man.
I wonder if they'll do at some point, maybe around holidays or something, run some sort of bundle with like the Ray and the Beam with a soundbar for a discount, trying to hook people in.
Well, you can actually get that right now. So on the Sonos website, they have a Sonos Beam with a Sub Mini. Phew. Sub Mini with a Beam is $833, which is $45 of savings.
Okay.
You know, $45 is good, but I feel like hopefully Best Buy and maybe some other brands, maybe even Amazon will have some combo deals for it. But man, $430 standalone for that Sub Mini. We'll see. I'm curious how it compares with the larger sub. I would say in my mind,
I'm curious at what
yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I want to know what other people think about this because, like, when I wrote this up,
yeah,
you know, I go with my stuff. I kept it pretty neutral in my tone, but I'm looking around the internet afterward to kind of see what people are reacting, and I'm seeing other articles where, like, on the Verge, on that, oh my god, the hideously redesigned Verge, they have a
tell us how you really feel.
I can't find the news. I can't find the news now. I feel old, but. There was a little blurb popping up from one of the editors. It was like, it really doesn't sit well with me that this sub is as expensive or more expensive than the speakers it's supposed to pair with. And so like they have that angle. And then there's another headline out there from another organization where they're like, Sonos launches new Sub Mini and it's got a lower price than you may think. And there's got like just conflicting points of view there. And I don't know what the general masses think about this.
Yeah. Let us know what you think. Tweeted Andrew myself. I would also say for $430, now in my mind, the sound should be closer to the larger sub. You know, I think it should be at least, obviously not exactly the same, but comparable, rather than, you know, I kind of would have given it a pass on performance if it was like $250 or $300. So, yeah, I'm curious. October 6th, it's going to be available. So we'll see. Let us know what you think about this pricing. I'm curious.
I'll definitely be testing one out for sure. And I mean, when it comes down to it, like this is the bottom line. It's cheaper than the big one. If you want a Sonos sub and you don't want to spend like $800 after tax,
yeah,
this is much cheaper. So
for sure,
it is cheaper. Sure. I'm not spending $800 on a sub, and $400 sounds much more palatable. But in relation to the price it pairs with, it's still expensive.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let us know what you think. Yeah, I'm curious. All right, some other news. Hunter Douglas, we've talked about Hunter Douglas many times. They've been a previous sponsor of this show. They have new PowerView shades, and I'm looking at the Verge article, the redesign. It's but listen, this was written by our friend Jennifer Toohey, and so she does an incredible work. But so they have a new Generation 3 PowerView shades. Those
did come out earlier this year, so those aren't like brand new. Those did come out earlier this year.
But they said it is going to support Matter, but doesn't currently support HomeKit. They're working on it, but the Gen 3 PowerView Hunter Douglas shades don't currently support HomeKit. They will support Matter. And alternately, the Gen 2 shades do support HomeKit, but will not support Matter. Do I have that right?
Yes, you have that right.
Yeah.
So Gen 2 was out, supported HomeKit. I believe those used their hub. Then earlier this year, they launched their Gen 3 version where they were migrating their system away from their hub and moving to a BLE connection, Bluetooth Low Energy. So when they moved to those new ones, it didn't support HomeKit. Like they came up with new ones that didn't support HomeKit. Now they are promising Matter support as well as possibly native HomeKit support as well, because they do say they're working on HomeKit support for those Bluetooth Low Energy ones. But Matter would theoretically solve that issue anyway, because shades, window coverings are part of the initial launch of Matter. So if they do add Matter, that would bring Apple Home support in there at the same time. But yeah, I thought it was really weird when they switched to these new hubless Gen 3 models that they didn't have any HomeKit support, and they hadn't pledged support for Matter yet on them. So that is good to know if you were considering these or already had them. They're going to get HomeKit and Matter at some point with that Bluetooth Low Energy connection.
Yeah. Can we talk about Matter then real quick, since we're kind of talking about Matter now? You know what I'm going to get at?
We might as well, Steven.
We might as well. Listen, I got some concerns, Andrew. I got some big concerns.
Oh, you're a concern.
My concerns are 16.1. iOS 16.1 beta was released like day after 16.0 came out. And the 16.1 beta had some changes. One of them being Matter is now like in the iPhone settings and iPad. You know what? I didn't even check iPad. Is it on the iPad too? Let me pull this up real quick.
I don't have one sitting in front of me.
I got it sitting right here. So, oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so the latest 16.1 developer beta, when you install it on your iPhone or iPad, if you go to Settings, General, there is a new menu called Matter Accessories. Now, you can't do anything with this yet because it's not out yet. I'll believe it when I see it, trademark. But it's there, and so everyone's real excited. Like, Matter's getting more real because now there's a Matter menu in the latest. I was trying to think of more M words to get some alliteration going, but there's a new Matter menu in the macOS update. And, okay, it's there, but then I saw some updates about Matter, and according to Apple says that pairing Matter accessories first requires a profile to be installed on your device. And the biggest red flag raised in my head. Now, if you're not familiar, a profile would be like a VPN type profile. Like you install a profile so your device can run the betas. You know, the profiles are also in the settings, general profiles usually. But typically a profile will grant certain access to your hardware devices above and beyond what a typical like app can do. And so the fact that Matter devices will require a profile, I don't know, that seemed very concerning to me. And then I'm not clear on all these details. I'm not going to go through all these bullet points that I found, but supposedly like removing a Matter accessory, maybe that's in the Home app, might still be a part of the Matter menu in your settings. And I'm just not sure. I mean, Matter still has to launch. Like nothing is for sure right now because doesn't exist yet. You can't get any Matter devices. You can't add them to your Apple Home. But just those two pieces of information that it might require installing a profile, or Apple has at least said it requires installing a profile, and removing devices might be a little more cumbersome than just deleting the tile from your Home app. Man, I got concerns, Andrew. I don't know, man. What do you think about this?
Those don't concern me, at least not yet. I mean, we're still here in development phases of this stuff. Apple has not went out there and publicly said that when Matter launches, you need an external profile to make it work. That could just be through the development phase here for those who are working on Matter accessories. Like what you're talking about is pulled from the release notes, the release notes. The changelog stuff for developers. So they're specifically talking to developers here, not the public. So like the profile, I don't know if that's going to be required upon actual release of 16.1 and Matter, but I lean towards it being a development thing. It seems very un-Apple to require an extra profile to enable support. So I don't think that's going to be the case upon launch, but that's just my gut feeling at the moment.
Okay. I'm not going to put the cart before the horse then. Then I will reserve judgment. But I don't know, man. This whole Matter thing. It's fall. It's supposed to be now, right? Like it's fall time. We're supposed to see Matter in the next couple months, right? That's what they said, right?
Yes, they said fall, but it's a fairly large window. I mean, it's not technically fall. Fall starts on September 23rd, and it's not that. So
okay.
We're not even fall yet. Someone also again putting carts before horses. And fall goes through like December 21st, I think, this year.
It does. No. Yes, December 21st is the first day of winter. Yep.
Yes. So we have until December, almost all of December, for Matter to officially launch. 16.1. Okay, hold on. Let's do some quick Googling, Stephen. When was... yeah, everyone want to watch my browser. I'm looking up for when iOS 15.1 was released.
I'll tell you what.
November 18th.
Okay.
So that was when it was released last year. Okay. So end of October, early November is when 16.1 would launch, and that could be the timing for Matter.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'll reserve judgment. Matter. I'll believe it when I see it, trademark. And also see how this works with iOS 16.1. We'll see. We shall see.
Steven just over here sharpening his pitchforks before anything's happened. Like we didn't even miss a deadline yet. We're getting close to that deadline.
Well, I mean, they also said it would be here over the summer. That was like a year ago. And then we were supposed to get it the year before that summer. So, I mean, they've missed some of their own self-imposed deadlines. I mean, I'm just saying. I'll believe when I see it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but we have never been this close. Like we have Apple stuff like showing up like very visible.
That's true.
In iOS now. Like it's always had support, basic support all the way back to iOS 15 as a beta of Matter. But now we're getting like, user accessible stuff. Apple's starting to tout these things. And Apple's website was updated. If you go to the Apple Home website, you'll notice there's a new icon, little badge for Matter has been added. So now Apple is out there like boasting about it on its own site. We're much closer to it. Granted, the biggest benefits are not to HomeKit users because there's no real new device categories. The biggest benefit for Matter in version 1 is going to be all these Android suckers are getting access to a bunch of really nice HomeKit accessories that previously didn't work with them. Stuff like Eve and the Wemo line that didn't work with Amazon's Assistant and Google Home now have access to those things. Like those are the big benefits for version 1 here. HomeKit users, maybe a few new devices, not even new categories, just a few new devices.
Right. That's hilarious. Okay. Reserving judgment. We will see what happens when Matter comes out. But I want to talk about iOS 16 because I've been playing around with the redesigned Home app. And before we get to that, and speaking of security and privacy, I would like to thank our last sponsor for today's show, Collide. Collide, traditional endpoint security tools can make your workplace feel like a surveillance state, turning users and their IT teams into adversaries and ultimately drive your employees to work on unsecured personal devices. I've worked in office environments that is 100% the case. People just get frustrated with their work devices being locked down. They can't access what they need, so they end up just using their own, and that's not secure either. But it doesn't have to be this way. Collide is a device security solution built around honest security. Their philosophy is that employees aren't your biggest security risk. They're your biggest allies, and your relationship with them should be based on transparency and consent. Collide works by notifying your employees of security issues via Slack and giving them step-by-step instructions on how to resolve this themselves. I love this idea where you just, once you implement Collide into your company, if your employee does something like save a password to their desktop in like a plain text file, Collide will just send them a little Slack message and be like, hey, buddy, don't do that. That's a bad idea. Actually, what you should, that's not the official message. I'm not exactly sure what it actually says, but that is... that's the idea. And it helps your employees take those measures themselves. And it works by Slack. So for IT and security teams, Collide provides the right level of visibility for Mac, Windows, and Linux devices, can answer questions about your fleet security that traditional mobile device managers can't. So meet your security goals without compromising your values. Visit collide.com/HomeKit to find out how. And if you follow that link, they'll hook you up with a goodie bag just for activating a free trial. You get free stuff with a free trial. All that is free. That's KOLIDE.com/HomeKit, collide.com/HomeKit. Our thanks to Collide for sponsoring this episode. Now, Andrew, I know you've been playing with iOS 16 for a long time because you've been running all the betas on everything. But I have it now on my phone, and I'm using it more and more because my phone is where I usually manage a lot of my home devices. And I just have a couple thoughts. We've probably mentioned things like this before, but number one, I still think it's crazy that there are not more widgets available for the stock home app on the lock screen and home screens. Like you have widgets available on the lock screen, and I'm going to pull it up now just so I don't speak out of turn, but they're basically like climate, which is, it's just not something I'm really interested in to have on my thing. You can get a summary of your home, which shows like temperature, humidity, and how many lights are on. Not something I'm interested in. Climate, temperature, humidity, again, it's kind of the same thing. You can have a climate sensor. You can see the status of one climate sensor. There's a security tab, so if you have like an Abode IOTA or other security system, you can have that on the lock screen. A security accessory, like a lock or something, so you can have that. And then lights, but it only shows you the summary of the amount of lights on. And man, I mean, come on. At least a widget to run a scene. Like, can we at least get a lock screen widget that lets me run a scene? And I think even, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think like on the home page, you get even less widgets. I mean, if you go to your home screen, home is not even an option still. Like you can't do any, and that's why, there's great third-party apps for that, and I'll talk about that in a second, but it's just finally hit me now that I'm running iOS 16 on my iPhone, and I did all my custom lock screens, and I'm like, come on, man. What's up? Does it still frustrate you, or have you lived with it long enough where you're just like, man, you've accepted it?
Well, I mean, some stuff I hoped that they would have fixed. I had filed radars and stuff like that, and I hadn't gotten any other feedback from Apple on it. But like, one of the things that bothers me a lot is like the temperature one. So you can do a sensor widget for Apple Home on your lock screen, and you drop the widget in, and then you can choose the type of sensor that you choose: humidity, air quality, all that kind of stuff. And I like the temperature one. I think that's useful to see the temperature in the house and things like that. But the problem with it is you can only choose like the one type of sensor, but you can't control which sensors. So like for me, if I can pull this up, okay, of course I have mine both there. It's like telling me the sensors, but it's like giving me like a range and includes like my outdoor sensors. So like I want to be able to choose like a sensor. Like let me choose like my Ecobee or something like that as the sensor versus just like the entire range of devices. So like, that's one thing. Some of them are really nice. Like the door lock one is pretty cool. But again, sure, I want to be able to filter this down because it always tells me like, oh, your door's unlocked. Sure. Because I have a door lock here on the studio, but I also have the front door. The studio one, I don't lock all the time. And the front door lock, I do. So like I want to be able to see like that the front door is locked, but I don't care about the studio. So like stuff like that. But then you can tap that immediately and then get to your locks and lock that way very quick. So stuff like that is helpful. And like I'm sure you were going to mention is third-party apps that can support HomeKit, like home widgets that unlock some additional functionality for these. Right.
Now I will say initially it felt like the way I used the home app before, I typically would jump to a specific room. I have my favorite accessories and, I will adjust some there, but I can't have all the accessories that I use that often in the favorites because then the favorites becomes not very usable. It's not just favorites. It's just everything. And so I would typically jump to a specific room I was in, like my family room or whatever, or master bedroom. And before, it was in the upper left corner and it felt faster to get to your rooms. It's probably the same. You tap the 3 dots now in the top right and you still have your room listing right there. You can jump to a room. But what I realized I had to do was really edit the home like sections And so when you tap those three dots now, you can reorder the sections of your home app, and you can put a specific room at the top. If it's a room that you're in a lot, like my studio, I might want to put that in the top. But then you can also reorder where your scenes appear and your cameras. And one thing I do really like about the app, I have this one, the Eve outdoor camera on my garage. It's just out of Wi-Fi range. And so half the time it shows no camera, like it shows there's no signal. And I really appreciate that, one, I can hide that one camera from the summary view, so I don't see this like camera with a line through it on the homepage. And it also has moved the accessories with no response off like that homepage and into the 3-dot menu. I so appreciate that because, again,
seriously,
it's amazing because it bothered me so much to see devices that weren't connected. That Eve outdoor cam is 50% of the time, and then there's a lamp in my daughter's room, and she keeps turning the lamp off like manually, and like just can't. So just really appreciate not having to see inactive devices all the time on the home screen. So thumbs up for that.
The new home screen I really like. I actually do think it's very fast. Not only can you like edit and hide stuff from that summary view, but those toggles at the top, once I started using those became my best friend. Because if I was, instead of scrolling down through the rooms on my home screen to get to a room that I was looking for, I could toggle something like security, climate, lights, and just hit that pill, and then it would just filter just to the lights, and then I can get to the room faster and see only the lights in that room. That saved me a lot of time in accessing devices. The part that I don't like that still freaking bothers me is getting to the details of an accessory for like more control. So you have these little redesigned pills, they have new colors. So if it's something like a light, you can just tap on the actual icon of the light and toggle it on and off. It's like one tap right from that summary view. But in order to like do something else, change the color, change the brightness, unless I miss something, Steven, you have to like long hold, and then at the bottom of that modal that pops up is accessory details, and then you can get to all that stuff to do it. That, I think, is frustrating. Like, first off, haptic touch, so much better. 3D touch was so much better than haptic touch and this bull crap long hold nonsense. It drives me insane because it was so much better at things like this, where I could like tap it to like do that, but I could have also like long hold, and that would have popped up a thing. Would have been great with 3D touch, and we don't have that anymore. But so that seems bad, especially for different accessories to get into.
Right. And so that is the other thing. My muscle memory is tap a card to toggle it on or off, tap and hold a card to adjust color and brightness, which that was the old mechanism for using the home app. And what I have found in the current home app, I'm going to try and do this on camera, tapping the actual circle icon of a light will turn it on or off. But if you just tap the words, then you get the screen to adjust brightness, fan speed, and color. And so what I was doing was tapping and holding, and I was like, I was getting frustrated because that usually gave me more controls, and I kept having to hit accessory details. But if you just tap the where the words are, you get all the controls for color and brightness.
Okay, so that is better.
Yeah.
Not great, but better.
That muscle memory is strong though, because I keep tapping and holding, and it's not that. You gotta one tap. But tap the words.
I keep tapping and holding, and those icons are also really small. Like the circles for toggling like the lights and stuff, they're kind of tiny.
Yeah, and that is the other muscle memory thing. I find myself missing those little circles, and some of the icons, like one of the new icons was the my eyes are, there we go. The multiple.
I know. My camera's been doing that so much recently on these videos. I'm doing all these demos, and it will not focus on my hand because it sees like an ear in the background, and it's like, nope, I want your face. I'm going to focus on your face.
You got to cover the eyes. But one of the new icons was the multiple canned light icon, which I like. That's cool. Mm-hmm. But it does feel like it's a small tap target. So sometimes I miss those. But yeah, so just tap the words to adjust brightness, and then tap the little circle icon to toggle on and off. So anyway, that is.
Have you tried the home widgets for the lock screen?
The third-party app?
Yeah.
No, not
because
not yet.
I'm pretty sure you can run scenes, automations, whatever you want.
Right, and this is the other one I wanted to mention. So the developer Clement actually sent an email. He makes Home Widget, which actually has widgets you can put on your lock screen, even to control scenes. So if you want to put scenes on your lock screen and control it that way, you can do it with his widgets. He said there was a lot of people having issues getting those widgets on the lock screen. It did take offloading and reinstalling the application sometimes, or even like changing the language of your device temporarily. But try to just, if you use Home Widgets, the app, and it's not working on iOS 16 lock screen, just delete it and reinstall it, and that should probably work. But I'm going to try it. Have you tried it?
Yeah, I've tried it. I've got mine working. I got to beta test it a little bit before 16 was released. Nice. And it's helpful. I think the biggest problem for me, I don't know about you, Steven, the new lock screens are almost overwhelming. Like, I have so many, and you're worrying about tying screens to focus modes.
Yeah.
You only have 4 little widget slots, and some things like weather can be amazingly cool with like the little graphs for some of these third-party apps where you can see like hourly forecast visually and all this information. But then you're left with like 2 other ones, and like I want like a HomeKit one for something, and fitness rings or battery levels. Like I need more widgets. I need like a second row of widgets. But with all the cool lock screen like backgrounds and effects, it's a lot. It's a lot, and I discovered quickly that one lock screen can only be tied to one focus mode, which was kind of a pain. Not with 16.1.
Oh, that changes. Okay.
Mm-hmm. You can now do multiple. It's a one-to-many relationship instead of just one-to-one.
That is because that was the way it was with home screens previously. You can have the one home screen applied to multiple focus modes. I'm glad that changes in 16.1 because that was really annoying. I was basically like creating multiple lock screens that had the same widgets and the same design, but is because I couldn't reuse it for multiple focus modes. So that's very helpful. I think Apple could solve so much of this just by doing one thing: allowing a shortcut to run as a lock screen widget. If you could just program a shortcut and run that as one of the small circle lock screen widgets, then you could do home controls and scenes. You could run a shortcut for anything. They can trigger a focus mode just by tapping that little lock screen widget. And I do think it would be great for them to add like more home widgets, both for the lock screen and home screens. But just let us put a shortcut in there. I think that would be amazing. That'd be my hope.
It is weird, especially the home app, the actual native ones, that they don't allow something as basic as a toggle. Like they're going to have like live updating weather and things like that in your lock screen, but you can't like turn off a light. Like something that basic. Like it should just be a native thing for the home app. Like you can put an accessory on your lock screen, tap to toggle on, tap to toggle off. Like it should be something that easy.
Exactly. So overall, I think I'm learning to love the new home app. I do like the design for sure. Do spend time and arrange the sections of the app if you find that you can't get to the home, accessories and devices you want to control quickly enough. So spend some time doing that, and just sit there.
Use the filters at the top.
Yes. Use the filters and just spend some time like playing around with lock screens and stuff. I'd specifically left myself like an hour or so just to like sit on the sofa and mess around with the lock screens because a lot of times like trying to just hurriedly do something and I was not getting the results I wanted. But just spend some time, form some lock screens. I spent some time doing focus modes with lock screens, and I've gotten to a place where I really like where I'm at. So what lock screen widgets do you use most often? Because that's my last question for you. Because I have a calendar widget. I have several lock screens for like work mode where it'll show me my next calendar event. But then I'm
calendar's
never sure.
Neat.
Yeah, weather.
I do like that one. Weather, like you said, there's some third-party weather ones. Like Weather Graph is really cool. Carrot, great. Bring that sassy little AI to your lock screen. Pretty sweet. I do like the battery ones because I try to keep track of some of the battery stuff. Activity one is nice because I do watch my rings. I do have my door lock on there as a quick one. Mine are kind of messed up right now because I just did a video on the best third-party apps that work with your lock screen. So I was like throwing widgets left and right. Like some of my I've replaced with like Parcel has a lock screen one. So it's like your iPhone 14. is getting ready for delivery and stuff like that. So there's a lot of fun ones. I don't know. I download like 1,000 third-party apps that have lock screen widgets.
Right.
So
right.
some are useless. Some are pretty cool. So go self-plug. Go watch lock screen widget video. I also did roundup videos that had me up till the wee hours prepping for. I didn't expect Apple to release iOS 16 that Monday. I was thinking like a Tuesday, Wednesday sitch. And then they're like Monday. I'm like, there goes my weekend. So I had like one video of like, depending on how you count, like 200 new features changes in iOS 16. And then another one's like 50 or 75 new features and changes in watchOS 9. So if anyone wants to like deep dive into every freaking thing that Apple changed, a couple things to check out.
That's great. So go to youtube.com/Apple Insider for those videos from Andrew covering all the iOS 16 stuff. Then you go to youtube.com/HomeKit Insider to watch this and other episodes. Subscribe there. We have over 2,000 subscribers now. That's pretty cool. And let us know what you think about the Sub Mini pricing and what are your favorite lock screen widgets. I would like to know. Andrew would like to know. Reach out. Let us know. Also give us a 5-star rating and review in Apple Podcasts. And thanks for a great show. All right. Catch you next time.
See y'all.